On this episode of After Hours Drop Off, we sit down to discuss 1989's Pet Semetary after Charlie has watched for the first time. Was it one man's slow descent into despair to save his family from the tragedies that were happening around him? Or it was Judd, a harvester of death, collecting souls for the Wendigo?
Sometimes that is better.
Welcome to After Hours Drop Off. Thank you for coming back for our second episode. The first one, I think we had a little bit of an issue there. Charlie, did you learn anything from that episode?
I learned so much from that episode. I learned that things can be hexed or cursed.
I'll tell you this, I learned, let's not make fun of the son of Satan in any future episodes.
No, even if it's not the real one. Just don't.
Yeah, so if you guys did watch that first episode, you would have seen that we've had numerous recording issues that we have not had since, using these lapel mics, using the camera. And even on the way home, it was kind of weird. Got behind the car with 666s on the license plate. Then my car kind of smelled like dead animals for a few days. In post, it was weird too because lost some of the clips. So, we're essentially doing everything the same today as we did before, except for these podcast mics.
My head fell off.
Your head fell off?
I found it, thank God. But it fell off like a day.
So on this episode here, before we get into Pet Semetary, first thing I wanted to tell you is if you like the content that we're putting out, stab that like button below.
So also make sure you subscribe and then hit the bell icon. A little tongue-tied right there for a second. If you like what you see, make sure you get all the notifications for the channel. Make sure you subscribe to all the Women of Horror shows that we got for you. And let's get moving.
Stalk us. Dr. Lewis Creed and his wife Rachel moved to a small town in Maine with their kids and their cat Church. They wanted to escape the city life to provide their children Ellie engage with a better environment to grow up in. Ellie runs off to play in a tire swing hanging from a tree in their front yard. The rope breaks while she is inside of it, distracting her parents long enough for Gage to run towards the road. Judd, their neighbor from across the street, pulls Gage from the road and away from an oncoming truck. The Creeds thank him when Rachel notices an ominous path next to their house. A lot of things occurring in this opening, maybe 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, it was. I got a common theme here just from The Omen 2. Not The Omen 2. I was told that's garbage. The Omen also is a kid at the beginning of the movie in immediate sort of danger, or is something like that with the tire swing and all that. Yeah. I really dig the wood panel side. Station wagon.
Yeah. Oh my God, I haven't seen those in a long time.
And I keep forgetting his name, but Herman Munster. What's his name again? The judge from My Cousin Vinny. You're either going to hear it one of two ways: either Herman Munster or the judge from My Cousin Vinny. I'm just going to say it in advance. He makes the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
he makes the whole freaking movie. He is. I said it to you when you first got here. He is so usable in any role you throw him in, and his draw. Like, he had a southern draw. Yeah. He had a southern draw, obviously, in My Cousin Vinny. And I'm sure he's from the South. It just sounds like he is. But or whatever, I can't do the voice because now I just look like a jerk off. But, no, it's just, like, totally usable. And at first I was thinking, because I don't know anything about the movie, I'm thinking, I just put it this way. I didn't expect it to turn out the way it did as far as him being like, can I spoil a little bit? Because I have a thought in my head. I'm stumbling right now.
Sure.
I'm going to spoil a little bit.
They've seen the movie. Go ahead.
I'm the one that didn't. Yeah, he kind of takes over like a grandfather character.
Yeah,
that's how I took it. Like, her dad's a bag of shit.
Yeah,
which we'll get to later in detail, I'm sure. But that's by the end of the movie. That's what I took. I'm like, this guy, like, he's like a surrogate grandfather almost.
Oh yeah,
father figure to the dad, that kind of thing. I was like, I totally picked up on that.
Yeah,
and he was wonderful.
The next day, Judd leads the Creeds on a hike down a path that was next to their home, which leads to a pet cemetery. Judd tells the tale that the cemetery was built by kids many years ago to bury their pets, including his own dog, Spot, that died when he was a child. A day and a half in, the neighbor, yeah, sure, he saved your son, but now he's taking you down a path to a cemetery and he's telling you campfire tales.
It's a little creepy, and I kind of thought that a little bit, but I thought they spun it pretty well where his intentions were there. I did think one part was really funny, was when they're in this Pet Semetary and he's teaching Ellie the lesson about life and death, and it was like, I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, it was a really good way to explain it, and that's where I'm like, this guy's kind of good natured. But the mom, she starts kind of bugging out a little bit, and and Judd gives the dad like a look of like,
what the hell?
Like one of these, and I'm like, that. Spoiler alert, ladies, all husbands do that shit. Don't even, like, you've been at a picnic or you've been somewhere with like a group of friends, and at some point someone gets a little like, and you're just like, don't do that. Judd totally threw that to the dad. 100%. Like, don't say how it can work.
That's based on his years of experience.
And I gotta mention that really quick too. How old is Judd?
I don't know.
This movie, I'm cutting you off, I know.
All right.
1989 it came out. Figure, let's say it's based in 1986.
Okay.
What year did Spot die? 1927?
Really?
I think that's what he said.
Wow.
I go back and watch it.
I have to go back and watch that.
But I think he said 1920 something, and I'm like, Judd's say 5 or no, not even, because then they do the flash forward later, and like Judd's like 12.
Yeah.
How old is Judd?
Yeah. On his first day in the office, Lewis encounters the opposite of what he had hoped for. Students rush another student, Pasquale, into his office after being hit by a truck. He's bleeding profusely from the head, and Lewis is unable to save him. While at his bedside after Pascal had passed away, he lunges up and grabs Lewis by the shirt, warning him of darker things to come. Pascal appears to Lewis later that night and leads him outside to the cemetery, where he warns him to never travel to the place where the dead walks. On your first day, you got a guy coming into your room with his brain hanging out. So, and it kind of leads to that vision that he has of Pascal. He's like, yo, don't go down here.
See, now, did you take it as, well, no, he's a legit ghost. It's not really a vision. And I think he buys into it really quick that he's like, this is a ghost.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, that kind of hits him. And then, like, immediately he's, getting woken up in a sound sleep or whatever. I'm like, I think he's kind of on board right away.
Yeah.
I will say, and maybe you'll know more about this than I would, I feel like that scene of him getting pulled into the doctor's office after getting hit by the truck, I was like, it's very abrupt. The cut. Like on a movie making level. And I'm like, I wonder if there was like a good 5 minutes of film of this kid getting hit by a truck or something like that they left out. Because it seemed like such a, again, 1989, and like you kind of notice like the way movies are made in a certain era or whatever, like there's kind of very abrupt cuts sometimes in movies.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish I could see what they wanted to put before that. How gross it really was.
Lewis stays behind while Rachel takes their kids to see her parents for Thanksgiving, who he does not get along with. Judd then soon discovers Church dead along the side of the road and informs Lewis that he can spare Ellie the heartache of losing a pet. They head to the cemetery and then scale over a wall of tree limbs through the woods, and then they climb to the top of a stone quarry to an ancient burial ground created by the Micmac tribe. They bury Church, and Judd tells Lewis to not speak of what they have done.
Judd killed that cat.
You think so?
Well, this is where I was on the line of like, is Judd a good person? I fell back again. So I'm like, that cat, that's not exactly near the road. Like you just described it as like on the side of the road. Like that's kind of in his yard.
Yeah, that was kind of in his yard.
You know what I
That's
mean?
good,
And I'm like, how much is? Because even as you go in the movie, like it seems like every time Judd tells him something a little more, eventually he starts to be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, but for a little bit, you're just like, if you just didn't open your mouth, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, that is an interesting point.
They would have found this Pet Semetary, I'm sure, because it's on their property. But beyond that...
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would have been out. It's like, all right, we're going to climb over this, and we're going to... No, we're not going to do all this.
That's what I mean. Like, and really quick, too. What was the kid that died again?
Cage.
No, not the son. The one that got hit by the truck. Pascal?
Yeah. Not like the...
It's called Pascal. Like that's the
No.
Gecko from Tangled?
I thought so too.
That is the name.
No, his name's a little bit different because I had
Is it Pastel? Or is it Pascal?
I don't know.
Pascal.
No, it's Pascal.
No, this is Pascal, and the other one's Pascal with an L.
Oh, there's no L in his name?
No, it's a W.
Pascal. Oh, I'm glad we figured this out on film. But anyway, yeah. So how does Pascal know all this shit about the Indian burial and all that kind of stuff? And he's like, can do whatever this old guy's gonna do. And then Judd's the one that's like, I'm gonna bring you somewhere.
Yeah.
And then sprints to the top of a fucking mountainside.
I'm gonna give you another spoiler for Rewind.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, and this is kind of gonna...
I feel like there's got to be a lot for this movie.
Yes, there is. There's a lot for this movie. But this is gonna kind of make you think again a little bit here. And going on your theory that maybe Judd is a little crooked here, Pascal is not a ghost.
What?
Nope, he is not a ghost. He is an angel.
Okay.
So
I thought about that a little bit, yeah.
So, that and a little bit of improv in this movie. Again, just a teaser for Rewind. When he first appears to Lewis, if you notice, he just looks up into the distance towards the end of his conversation.
Yes.
So,
did notice that, actually.
That's your taste of what's going to be on our next episode of Rewind. So we'll get into that on the angel.
That's a little upsetting.
I think you're onto something.
If you're an angel and you just maintain your form as a guy that just got hit by a bus, so you go to heaven, you're like, oh my God, I'm so... And then you're just greeted by nothing but like drowned victims and people that got their heads cut off.
Wow. Yeah.
Think about that. Oh yeah, you got halos and wings, but you look like dog shit.
Church returns from the grave the following day. Judd explains to Lewis that he had first buried his dog Spot there when he was a child, and that Spot had also returned. The only thing is, Spot was not that lovable dog that he knew. He was a vicious, rabbit-like dog when he came back. Now we have Judd revealing some of the facts behind the burial ground.
Yes.
Yeah, I told you to bury your cat there, knowing that my dog came back a psycho.
Yeah. He did. Like, what, you're just gonna leave? You're gonna omit that detail?
Yeah, that's a key detail.
Not only that,
Judd?
Yeah, Judd.
Totally gives the dad kind of a fuck you and a look, and he's like, I'm gonna go have a smoke, you dig.
Yeah.
He knew it.
Yeah.
He knew it.
Yeah, he did.
And you know what happened? His comeuppance. Because the Indians were like, you were there.
Mm-hmm.
You were there, and I don't care. You've seen it.
The Creed's housekeeper, Missy, who's suffering with cancer, hangs herself in her home, which begins to spur emotions of life and death with Rachel. Later that night, she shares a story with Lewis about her bedridden sister, Zelda, who is suffering from spinal meningitis. She was often left alone with Zelda as a child and had to care for her. She loathed her sister until one day, while caring for her, Zelda choked to death. And Rachel was unsure if she was sad that she had passed away or happy that she died. So Rachel up until this point is kind of like, bleh.
She's stiff.
Yeah.
She's stiff and...
very bland, right? And then this event happens, and now she's starting to question everything.
Right. Okay. I didn't... You know what? Then I kind of take it back, because I didn't really draw the line there. I'll tell you what I thought initially. Was... Because the housekeeper, when you first see her, she's leaving and the mom's coming in and bringing in groceries. And then she says some weird thing about how she never had a husband or whatever. And I'm like, is she going to throw herself at the husband? He's a good looking guy. He's a doctor. But is he going to like the housekeeper with a bad tummy? Like, I don't know.
So did Zelda creep you out?
The visual of her kind of did. I thought it was very effective. And the kid that they got to play the younger version of the mom was really good. Who... Is she I don't know. Maybe I missed this too, but she's part of a big family because there was other kids in that one scene when she runs down the stairs. Was that?
I think that was just neighbors.
Is that what that?
Yeah, because she's running out of the house.
Yeah. So I assume she's in like a townhouse or something like that. There's a lobby or some kind or whatever. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was that or if there was just like a big enough family or whatever.
I wonder if her father was a diplomat too, like in Omen.
Maybe. Everyone's got money in these fucking movies.
Yeah.
Except for Judd. He's got to get his kicks by torturing family. Don't go over there. Don't bury your cat. Nope. And then he just watched the cat fucking just run shop all over the house. He's on the front porch drinking beers. Just, you go get him.
Did you ever see what happened to the previous owners of that house?
Nope.
But I felt, that's the other thing I thought of too, is I'm like, this is not the first time this has happened.
It's the first time that it screwed Judd over.
Exactly. That's the other thing too.
Yes.
That's a good theory. I had that. And they should do a fucking prequel. Mm-hmm. That's what they should have done instead of a remake. They should have done a prequel. I want a check made out to Women in Horror. Judd, you son of a bitch.
The family are on a picnic with Judd. Gage is flying a kite on his own while everyone watches. They're having a good old time, laughing. Then the kite gets away from Gage, and he chases after it into the road, in the front of an oncoming truck. Lewis runs after him, but cannot save him from being hit.
I told you earlier today that this is the first movie that I watched in my life. Well, that's an exaggeration, but it's the first one where I realized that I am a person that yells at movie screens.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid, it first happened as soon as he's coming out to the road, and I realized the foreshadowing that we missed from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh no, they're not gonna. Oh fuck! And he's gone. I'm like, they killed a kid. They killed a baby.
Yeah.
And I felt the dad's pain.
Yeah.
And that's the last time I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
That's not true. At the funeral, I felt bad for him too.
At the funeral, Rachel's father confronts Lewis, blaming him for Gage's death. A fight ensues. They stagger into the coffin, knocking it to the floor, causing it to open up and reveal Gage's hand. Man, how much of a dick is Rachel's father?
He's a piece of shit.
Oh my god. I probably never hated a character in a movie more than I hate that guy.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll give you the sucker punch. I'm like, dick move, but you're mad too. Mm-hmm. I almost was like that. He knocks over the casket. Bro, I'm Superman punching this motherfucker. Grandfather or not. I'm getting my kid, doing for a second, and to just like it's happening.
Yeah.
And that guy is pudgy. He's going down hard. I'm telling you right now.
That night, Judd stops in to check on the Creeds. He warns a distraught Lewis to not consider burying Gage at the Micmac burial ground. He tells the tale of Timmy Baker, a teenager who was buried there and returned, scaring the local townsfolk. Like Spot, he was not himself, and was also vicious. Judd then apologizes for ever showing Lewis the burial ground and the misfortune that has fallen upon them. He tells Lewis that sometimes dead is better. Going down our conspiracy path, it almost kind of seems like Judd's kind of setting them up now. It's like, yeah, don't go down there. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's right down there.
Yeah.
But don't do it.
Yep.
On the right.
Yeah. So, us both being fathers, what would you have done? Now, you know of this cemetery that's out there. You got a crazy cat running around, clawing at you. Are you going to take a chance to bring your son back? Are you at that point where it's that dark where you have to do it?
I think you know the answer, bro. We had this conversation with the Omen, and I'm gotta be confident in myself that I think I'd take a stock of my surroundings and like, that cat's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
He's got to stay.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. Like, just get out of here.
Yeah. I don't think I would ever go down that path.
No.
I don't even think I would have done it with the cat. I was just like, I'm not climbing that stuff.
Fly to the kid.
Yeah. And two, the cat, before the family got back, when the cat came back acting crazy, you're dead. I'm killing you right away because there's something not right about you.
Yeah, why did it take so long? I thought that the whole time too. I'm like, you obviously realize he doesn't tell you no story about putting the kid down in a horrible fire.
Yeah.
I thought that too. I'm like, oh, that poor dad.
Yeah, he just kind of leaves these little nuggets and morsels out.
Yeah, and I like, but that leads to the whole dilemma with Judd was that scene, because the whole time he's there being like, your son's not right. It's gotta happen. We're sorry. Get out of there. You know, like almost trying to be the good guy in the situation.
Yeah. Rachel and Ellie leave the next day for her parents, leaving Lewis alone with his grief and the thoughts of resurrecting Gage, which he soon acts on. Meanwhile, a frantic Ellie tells her mother about what her father is about to do, and that Pascal appeared to her to warn her. Rachel believes her and rushes home after not being able to get in touch with Lewis on the phone. Pascal is now appearing to Ellie, probably the only one that's actually hearing him, with these messages. And, the light bulbs kind of went on bloop, 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 for Rachel, and she's on her way home.
I like how he transitions from, like, Ellie's almost this conduit.
Yeah.
Between the dad and Rachel.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and they don't full on let him, like, be obvious to her.
Yeah.
But she's just he's just maneuvering. Like, almost like, this goes with your angel theme. So, go be on this. You're a guardian angel. You get assigned somebody. Now, that person can sort of, kind of like, think of like It's a Wonderful Life. Like, you can see the angel or however interact with the angel there, but nobody else. But the angel can guide you and guide your situation. So Pascal, even though no one can literally see him, he can go into the dreams of the kid, give her nightmares to stir that kind of stuff up. And then when he's like trailing her, he's not literally able to talk to her really, but he can like kind of possess like the woman at the airport and the driver. And like, that's when I really started to like Pascal too. The part when he's on the airplane and he's like a couple seats behind, he's just like, like just love it, like just going along for the ride, like we're going on a field trip, Yay! Exactly.
He's also really bad at his job.
I think he's working with what he's got. Well, I didn't get that at all. I actually like the character.
So he's a guardian angel, though. His goal is to protect everyone in that family. Half of them died.
I think, though, no. See, that's where I don't think he's the family's guardian angel. I think he's the dad's guardian angel. And I think at the end of the day, it is the person's choice. Like, they can't make you do it. They can just guide you. And, you know what I mean? Even Pascal at the last, I know we're skipping ahead, but the last line, it was like, good luck. Don't, or whatever he said. He says, I think it'll turn out fine. I don't. And he just takes off on the truck or whatever. Like, I think that's what it is. I think you're right that half the family dies, but I think he was the dad's guardian angel, and he was just trying to make it do what he could, basically.
So, kind of building off of that point, so there is a line in the movie where he says, like, to Lewis, like, well, you tried to save me and help me, now I'm trying to do the same. So that goes into your assignment.
That's what I mean. Like, he's paying it forward or paying it back a little bit, And he's, like, kind of a guardian angel or whatever. I do think it's a little weird, though, that having said that, he can possess people, truck drivers specifically, but not stop the baby from getting killed. Where were you on that one?
Well, did he kill him or possess him, or did he? Because in some
I took it as possessing.
Because in Supernatural, what they can do is they can kind of, or what Loki did in Avengers, actually, he can guide them into the direction that they need to be in.
I think it's possession. You got to go back and watch the airport scene, because the woman says exactly what Pascal says, and her facial expression changes and everything. Yeah, like she's being possessed.
Possession or influencer?
Oh, possession gives it. See, I think that's a difference of good and evil. I think possession suggests evil. Influencing suggests good, because the good wants you to make the choice ultimately, but they'll influence it. They'll try to have things work around you in such a way. Yeah. And I think
that's what he was doing.
Which he was trying to have the dad.
He's an influence.
He was trying to make the dad make the right choices. And what it really comes down to is the dad is just so obsessed with just maintaining his family and saving, keeping his child from having hurt feelings over the cat. Obviously trying to keep his son from being dead, helping the wife as a result. And like, he's just desperate. And one bad day, man. Get pushed over that edge and you crack.
Oh yeah, and you could see that crack when he's in the the hole after he's dug it out.
He smiles.
Yeah.
At the cop.
Yeah. That night, Gage returns to his home long enough to go through his father's doctor bag. He slips out unnoticed by Lewis, who is sleeping, and heads to Judd's home. Gone is the sweet little boy from the first 2 acts, and in his place is a maniacal and calculated child stalking his prey in a sinister game of hide-and-seek that leads to Judd's death. You know why I chose this film now?
Because this is what I was telling you earlier.
Achilles heel.
That's what it is, the Achilles heel. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
You got me again.
Yep.
You totally got me again.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that shit. I can do without a lot. That's what I swear to Christ, I'm upstairs. I'm like, oh God, oh, don't do it. Just don't do it, you know?
Yeah. And,
and I knew it was happening. I knew the second he walked up those stairs and he was in his slippers, I'm like, oh, fuck. I saw a scalpel and I saw slippers and I'm like, this motherfucker's going down.
Yeah.
And he's not going to do anything, be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah. It was, and, at this point, Gage's voice kind of is starting to haunt you too.
A little bit.
As he speaks and just kind of echoes in your brain.
Better.
Rachel is dropped off in front of her house, but she hears Zelda calling out to her from Judd's house. She goes to check on Judd and finds an empty house. She enters, she wanders through the house, she searches around, and she stumbles into Judd's room where Zelda is waiting for her. Zelda runs towards Rachel, but reveals that it's really Gage. Mixed with emotions, she goes to embrace him, and Gage tells her, I have a present for you, and holds up a scalpel. So you have Zelda now kind of teaming with the dark forces that are around this environment.
Right.
Just luring, her up there for revenge, essentially. That's how I took it. Or is it the demons in her own head?
I think it's the demons in her own head because like the point that the husband makes where he was just like, your parents are bags of crap, and they put you in charge of somebody that you were totally unsuited to take care of, and it's not your fault at all.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. What 12-year-olds should be
dealing
with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But does Zelda know that? No.
Yeah.
Why? How could she? Why would she? So she's just going to go back and, with the information, I guess she has. She's going to She's going to get revenge.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Maybe she didn't choke on the food. Maybe Rachel poisoned her. Maybe Rachel did something else.
She said that she was happy she was dead ultimately because of the burning, which is deep, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. No one ever wants to admit that and probably look like a bag of crap. But she does say the one thing though, which is really important, which is like we were almost happy, but because of her suffering being done. And that needed to be said because I'm like, don't go down that, because then you are just a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
We've all been there where you're like, at least they're not suffering anymore. That's what we all mean. That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, with this one here, she definitely reaped what she sowed. Lewis wakes up to find Gage's muddy footprints throughout the house and begins looking for him when the phone rings. It's Rachel's father. He's concerned about her and asks if she arrived home safely. Lewis nervously agrees and tells him that Rachel cannot come to the phone, and then hangs up. The phone rings again. It's Gage. He tells Lewis that he played with Judd, and then he played with Mommy, and now he's going to play with him too. That still sends a chill down my spine. Thinking about it, I kind of get a little bit of a chill too.
At this point in the movie, this is what I'm telling you. I love this movie. I gotta tell. I like The Omen a lot. I really, really did. But this one, I'm going to watch again. It's going to be like a year, like at once, no less than once a year kind of watch. I have to. That definitely was creepy as hell. It was effective. I liked how, and I was kind of on the fence because I was like, the grandfather, Lewis, he calls, and he was like, you almost got at least I got the impression that he was almost like biting the back of his tongue a little bit, being like, I know you're stressed, but
trying to be a nice guy.
I'm working on it. And he was just like, we can't talk right now. And just, I almost bought into it.
Lewis grabs 2 filled syringes and goes to look for Church and Gage to fix what he has done. He kills Church along the way to Judd's, and when he arrives at Judd's house, the curse of the burial ground has caused the inside of Judd's home to begin to rot and decay. Lewis searches through the home when Rachel's lifeless body is dropped from a noose through the open attic door, knocking Lewis down to the ground. Gage then lunges on him, but Lewis is able to get the best of him and injects him with the needle. Lewis then sets the house on fire and leaves for the burial ground with Rachel's body, telling Pasquale, who then appears to him again, that maybe it's not too late. He can save her this time, not like Gage. Only it's a few hours later where we see Rachel come back and kill Lewis. You're a loss for words. That's hard to say.
It's there's a lot there. I think it's just that you watch the snap happen, and the snap happened when the kid died.
Mm-hmm.
And that would totally do it. I'm not saying that I would go. I know I wouldn't have gone down this path to begin with, but I will say that if you're already in the skin of it, and then your kid dies, I think at that point you're just grasping at straws, and you're just like, maybe I'll work it out.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, because by the end of the scene, he ends up making out with his freaking wife, who's kind of her face half missing.
Yeah,
and like they really go for it too.
Yeah.
I was like, this.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. So I'm watching it with my wife, and it's like, my God, look, he even slipped to the tongue.
Totally.
Yeah,
didn't do that earlier.
There's pus coming out and everything. It's like,
Yep.
oh yeah,
she's oozing.
Yeah.
No, that's I
guess he likes dead things.
I picked up on that too because I was like, nobody else had that issue. Now, granted, Church was whole, which is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway,
speaking of somebody being whole, do you think Gage should have been whole after getting smashed by a truck?
That's what I was just going to say. Like, he's got this little scar, and he's got this little, like, Harry Potter thing going.
Yeah.
And that's about the end of it. I'm like, you got hit by a fucking truck.
Yeah.
His shoe was bloody.
Yeah.
Like, he should have been, like, ripped in half, minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, so, a pretty heavy movie for its time. It was coming out during the slasher craze. But, so you liked it?
I fucking loved it. And that's, I think, what I liked about it, is that you're right. I thought about that. It was around the slasher movie phase, and it had elements of that for sure. But it, like, I think it paid good respect to the older, what we would have had from The Omen, of just being a thriller, or like a tension-driven, scary movie.
Yeah.
Like The Exorcist same sort of thing. Like, not super gory, but just jump scares and does stuff like that to you. This had both, and I loved it. I fucking loved this movie. I really did. I did a lot. This would be, for the record, a 4.5. If we're doing out of 5, let's do 5. Okay. 4.5 out of 5.
Yep, 4.5 out of 5. All right, that's near perfect.
Omen's a solid 3.5, maybe a 4.
Thank you for watching this. On Wednesday, you're going to see the second half of this show. Tune in. There's some facts that you guys may not know about Pet Semetary that are very interesting.
I'm really looking forward to that.
So we'll talk about that, and we'll see you on that show. Thanks.
Bye!